Man, oh man, these conversations are just getting so good. This guest that I had on, I feel honored to have her. Her name is Sloan the Beast. Like, why didn't I think of that? She's a powerhouse coach and she helps ambitious women sharpen their instincts. I like that. She helps these women elevate their businesses and she helps them create a life that they actually dream of having. You can just feel her beauty from the inside out. I can't wait for you guys to listen to this one. Enjoy the show. You guys, we have Sloan the Beast. I just can't, I'm going to say it like all the time. Sloan the Beast is the coolest fucking name that I've ever heard. I was binging her content before we got on and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this woman, it was an immediate follow because I'm like, dude, you are different than the norm. You do it your way. I can totally feel that from you. You're electric and I can't wait to hear all of your magic and your brilliance. So welcome to the show.
So much, Chandler. I am stoked to be here. I'm a longtime listener and I know the audience. I am your audience and I'm so stoked to pour into a community that has poured so much into me. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yay. Okay. All the way from Orlando, Florida. We were just chatting before we pressed record. Tell us, like, I know that you go by Chaos Coach, which I have so many questions. I'm very intrigued, but tell us what you do in a nutshell and why you do it and why you love it.
Yeah, so Chaos Coach is just my fancy schmancy way of saying I'm a life coach. I help you create work-life balance as a really busy, really successful, really ambitious woman that's juggling raising a family and building a massively successful business. I help you do it without putting yourself on the back burner and without compromising the things that are important to you.
Amazing. Tell us why. So you're a certified life coach, is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Where did you get your certification, by the way?
So my certification is actually based out of London because they actually have regulations for coaching, unlike here in the States where it's the wild, wild west out here.
Yeah. I don't know much about life coaching, but I do know that. I do know that part. But I'm very curious, what moment in your life, like take us back to the day where you were like, you know, I just heard about this thing called life coaching and I think that that's for me and I want to get certified. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So totally not on purpose, right? I was actually a funding expert. I supported women in getting grants and getting funding for their businesses during this pandemic that we all kind of fell into. And after these 2-hour conversations with women, they would tell me, well, okay, Sloan, like I love all these opportunities and all this money, but like, how do you do it all? How do you raise 4 kids and homeschool them? How do you manage to continue being in this relationship where you guys travel and you're prioritizing your marriage and like you look good because you work out and you do all these things? How do you do it all and not self-combust? And any good business owner listens to their audience, right? That is just key if you want to be in business. And I was working with a coach at the time and I said, man, all these women keep saying this stuff and I'm just not worthy. Like I have a past and who am I to tell these women this is how you do all of the things without dropping the ball. And if you do drop the ball, I'll be like, screw it, whatever. Like it's all good. Let's keep it pushing. And I came to realize that because of my past, I'm qualified to do the work that I do today. It's because of all those mess ups and all those detours that I'm able to speak to the woman that maybe never wanted to be a mom and now finds herself in this position where she's like, damn, do I have to stop raising this child, right? Because I want to be a business owner, or do I have to drop the business because now I'm a mom and like that's what I'm supposed to do? And it's like, actually, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. You could do it both and it's all good. And so that's how I fell into life coaching, and it's been the most fulfilling work that I've ever done.
Dude, I bet. It's crazy. Like we do become the version of ourselves that we needed like 10 years ago. It's the wildest thing. So pause for a moment. You have 4 children.
Oh yeah.
That's wild. Okay. And you look so good. I'm like, wow. I sometimes that like irks me when people, I don't have kids yet, but it's like when people are like, oh, you're 30 something and you look that good. I'm like, dude, what? But anyways, you look amazing and 4 children is crazy and you're in a healthy relationship. Did you just say?
Yeah. We've been married 14 years this year.
Damn. Okay. Living the dream over there and you run your own business and you do what you love. Take us back to when you said like I've had a mess, like I've made messes, I've made mistakes. Like what were some of the turning points in your life where if you were to look back If you were to be that girl back then and look at you now, you'd be like, no way. Like, I'm sorry, but like, no, I couldn't even see that for myself. Like, what were those moments?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a history of addiction. So for me, I never thought I would make it to 24. I was like, I'm going to live super fast and like die young and YOLO and it's going to be fine. Like, it's fine. That's just what's meant for me. And so if I would have told 21-year-old me, deep in addiction, right, moving up and down the East Coast, that this was going to be my life, I'd be like, you're tripping, bro. Like, that's not, you're thinking of the wrong person.
Whoa. That's crazy. Can we dive into this addiction a little bit? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. When did addiction start for you?
So I was raised in a glass castle family where like I never even saw my parents argue. I never saw them fight. I was so sheltered that I thought M&M, like when people were talking about M&M, I was thinking of the candies. I had no clue.
Wow.
No clue. Like I'm the girl on the school bus with like the CD player because I'm not allowed to listen to secular music. Like that was my life. And one day I got home, my parents, we'd been evicted. I didn't understand even the concept of money. And that kind of spiraled me into this world of just a secular world I wasn't aware of. And so that's where I started experimenting with alcohol, experimenting with drugs. And I was really young. I was 12, 13 years old.
Wow.
And when, as a parent, you don't know how to establish clear lines between like, oh, wait, I have to be a mom right now and I have to be a woman. Like you have to be able to handle that really, really carefully when there is a breakup in the middle of everything and there's kids in the middle of everything. And my parents just, you don't know what you don't know. You're doing the best that you can with what you have. And so they kind of just focused on their own heartbreak and their own situations. And we were left, my sisters and I were left to free fall. And whoever caught us. And so that's kind of how I dived into addiction really young and really fast.
Whoa. Okay. That's wild. So when you became addicted to substances, it sounds like, and you were growing up with this and like this was your outlet because you were so sheltered prior to, when was the moment where you hit your rock bottom and you were like, I can't do this anymore?
Honestly, once I got pregnant, I was like, oh crap. My first reaction with my husband was, I'm just going to give this baby up for adoption. Like,
wow.
I don't want to be a mom. I never even thought I was going to make it past 24. And like, here I am. Right. And he was just like, yeah, no, if you're going to give it up for adoption, I will just take care of it. Like, wow. I will take full custody. Not a big deal. You know, just surrender your rights, but you're not going to do that to my child. And I had already been starting the process of trying to get clean. I just moved back from up north, and my sister had a baby. So I was trying to help her raise her, but at the same time, like not at all equipped for that, you know? And so once I got pregnant, it was like, oh crap, now I really got to clean myself up and I got to get my life together.
Wow. And how old is that first child now?
She is 13.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations. 13 years. That's amazing.
Thank you.
How have you in the last 13 years moved past I see you now, like you're this brilliant, sparkly, very glowy type of person. How do you move past forgiving yourself for everything that you've done, and then also thinking, like, I'm sure you look at your child at sometimes and you're like, I can't believe I even thought of giving you up. Like, how do you move past that?
Well, number one, it's acceptance of like, that's, again, you don't know what you don't know at the time. I didn't know any better. I didn't have the support that I do now, and I didn't have the experiences that I do now. I also have this understanding of like, that's what qualified me. If had I not gone through those experiences, I wouldn't have the authority or the experience, the knowledge to speak to the women that I get to speak to today, to parent my children. That's been huge for me, is I am equipped to parent my kids. I don't know about nobody else's kids, but my kids, because of my past. And so there's been a lot of self-coaching that has had to happen over the years. This is not something that happens overnight. There's layers to this, because when you're in addiction, you hurt a lot of people. So it's a matter of you're forgiving you're forgiving yourself, you're forgiving other people, you're asking for forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a journey. It really is a journey. And every day it's this decision of like, yeah, maybe something will come up that I did when I wasn't in the best state of mind or in the best place in my life. But that's okay. I was just doing the best that I could.
Yeah. That's wild. I was going to say shout out to your man and shout out to your relationship. Like you guys, that is so cool that you've been through so much for so long and raising kids, and what a cool, I don't know, I really admire that. Like I really look up to you for that. I am thick in the IVF journey and I am obsessed with my husband and we've been going through this whole thing. So when I hear women like you speak, it's just like very inspirational. It hits some strings in my heart. So I really appreciate you just sharing that and being who you are. Like I think it's very, very special. And women, we need people like you. So, but I want to move through getting into the work that you do with women. We've now covered why you are exceptionally qualified to help females in general. But is your niche specific to like female entrepreneurs?
It is. It is.
Okay.
My niche is specific to female entrepreneurs just because, and I've been through corporate America, right? I've been the mom at home trying to get the degree. I've been through all those roles, and I find that the women that need the most support are women who are deep in the thick of entrepreneurship. And as much women empowerment that's out there, there's still this space of women being coached by other women who are not moms.
Mm-hmm.
And while there's nothing wrong with that, there's a gap there in the way that we're communicating and in some of the struggles that we have that other women who haven't been through it can't necessarily speak to.
Absolutely not. I would totally agree with that. I do coach some moms and I literally surrender. I'm like, I'm not exactly sure how to navigate this. So I think you're spot on. When you work with female entrepreneurs, it's like so funny because it's like we are the magnificent, like we are so cool to be female entrepreneurs, but also we have a lot of baggage. Like we are carrying a lot. What is like the most common theme when someone comes to you, they find you on Instagram, they're like, Sloan the Beast, I need you, I need like help me. What do you find is the most common theme that they need support with from you?
I'm sure every coach out there can agree, mindset. Their mindset is their first blockage because they believe that they're supposed to be doing this juggle in some kind of way, right? Like there's a right way to live your life. Mm-hmm. And it's like, actually, you get to do this your way and you get to do it in a way that feels good to you. You get to build a business that suits your lifestyle, not the other way around, right? Like you get to do these things. And so the number one obstacle that I find is it's all in here. Like once we can change this, everything else shifts.
Okay. So Sloan the Beast, I am your ideal client. And I come to you and I say, I have so much passion inside of me. Like I'm bursting at the seams. Like I know I'm meant to be great. I know I have this insane potential, but I know for a fact I can't get out of my own way. Like I am the type of woman who is smart enough to see that I'm blocking myself. So I don't need anyone to tell me that, but I just can't move through it. And I feel like I'm watching these other women online, they're crushing it. And I'm like, why not me? How would you coach me through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I would ask you is, what do you envision for yourself? Like if everything was possible for you, if you weren't in your own way because of your own hyper awareness, right? What would you envision as your dream life? How would you show up every day? Who would you be supported by? How would your children feel every day that they woke up? What would their day look like? We would build out this entire dream life and start working backwards from there because the mind does not know what's fake and what's real. And so once we create that image in your mind, then it's just a matter of working backwards and letting reality catch up to you.
Dude, love it. That's juicy. And what do you, when you are saying that to women, like when you're helping them create this vision, do you find that they struggle with that, or do you feel like it flows out?
Yeah. So for a lot of women, especially highly ambitious women, it's like pulling teeth sometimes because you are so stuck in what is rational, right? Like, oh, well, my money can allow me to do this. And it's like, but money is abundance. Like, what do you mean? If
wild.
Money wasn't even like, money is just energy. So knowing that everything is available to you, what would that really look like? And so you keep asking them the same question in
Mhm.
different ways until they start saying, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, if having a dream team was possible for me, this is what that would look like, and this is how effortless I would move through my day. And if I had like the trainer of my dreams, my body like would feel this way, and I would be so strong, and I would have clothes that I loved. And so you just keep asking them the questions until you start breaking and cracking that open.
Yeah, that's like therapy on crack. That's insane. What I'm curious as I'm listening to you, because I'm sure you've worked with so many women up to this point. And the role that you take on is not easy. It's also probably very heavy at times, but it's also probably I'm insanely rewarding.
Yeah.
What do you struggle with in your role?
So right now in very real time, my biggest struggle is rest. So I have this new concept that I've been introducing of input and output, and how we believe in the yin and yang, right? And we believe in like there is darkness, and so then naturally there must be light, right? There's this balance. But we don't take into consideration as we level up in our businesses, the way that we decompress, the way that we pour into ourselves also needs to level up. We need to recalibrate. So if you are operating at this insanely powerful level where so much energy is being put out of you, you can't expect that a weekend at the spa is going to be sufficient to pour back into you. It has to be something drastic. And so in my example, I've been doing like back-to-back speakings, and I just relaunched coaching for this quarter. I only coach twice a year. So I have all this output that's coming out of me. And I was like, dang, my systems aren't working the way that they should. So my sister calls me. She's like, hey, we're going to Ireland for 2 weeks. Pack a bag. My husband's like, I'll stay with the kids. No big deal. So my husband stayed with all 6 kids while we took a 10-day sabbatical to Ireland. And now I've been able to come back to my business, come back to my family fully fueled. But because my input back in was as drastic as the output that I've been putting out for the past couple of months.
Dude, that's so dope. What would you say to the woman who's listening to this and she's like, okay, like cool, good for you. Like you can go to Ireland. Like my husband isn't that supportive and I don't have the money to travel and I could never leave my kids. What would you say to her? How can she find rest?
So you find rest in community. Number one, you have to get around the right people. If you are around other women who are speaking in that same format of like, I could never, I don't have the money. Like, listen to how negative and fear-based those words are. You need to get around women or just people that are audacious enough to believe, maybe today my husband won't stay with my kids for 10 days while I go to Ireland, but this time next week, bro, for sure. Like we're working to that, right?
Dude.
You want to get around people that are audacious enough to believe that if she could do it, I could replicate that same success.
Mm-hmm. Listen,
so that
I need to bring the mic closer to me. No one is saying that. I've never heard anyone say rest is in community. Like I've never heard that. Like that needs to be blasted all over your social media because I hear that and it like when I am very audacious. Like I am a go-getter. I'll run through brick walls all day. You can't stop me. When someone tells me to rest, I'm like, huh! Like, what do you mean? But if you tell me, like, go be in community and go soak up joy around other people who lift you up, light you up, and that's rest. Like, when I think about times that I've done that, you're right. Like, I feel recharged. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is everything I ever needed. Like, I have endless ideas and I feel creative and my frequency is so much higher. It's like, no one's talking about rest being in community. Like that is a huge takeaway for me. So thank you for that. I'm like, wow, what a freeing concept. That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm so glad that was really beneficial to you because it has been to me. And as someone who before was like, I'm not a girl's girl. Like I like to be alone. Like I'm a lone wolf. I go by freaking Sloan the Beast. Like you can imagine what my personality is like, right?
Yes.
So for me, the concept of being around other women and resting and being vulnerable in that, if you're listening, you're like, not for me. Just give it a chance. If you're in the right room, there's going to be a shift that happens where you will allow yourself and give yourself the permission to just bring those guards down and be mirrored by other women surrounding you.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting when we talk about that because I was also a person before. I used to like call myself introverted, which I'm not at all. Like I'm very social. I love people. And I used to say like I don't really like people, but it's like I am very particular with who I spend my time with, but that there's a big difference. Like I love human beings and I love to be in spaces and communities that feel fun. And I think it's interesting that we both came from a place where we used to say like, I'm not like I'm antisocial, like that's not for me, and we were kind of closed off to that. Where I wouldn't say addiction is my past, but I have my other shit that I've dealt with. I think it's so fascinating to realize and witness that when women heal themselves, which I believe entrepreneurship is like the ultimate healing journey if you do it the right way. It's like when you heal yourself, you open yourself up to so many different opportunities, so many different lenses and perspectives and different experiences. When you think back to the version of you who was an addict and probably facing so much pain, what was her mindset like? Like if you could coach that girl now, how would you coach her?
Yeah, she needed therapy, and that's the first thing. I'm huge about knowing the difference between coaching and therapy because,
Mm,
like I said, in the States, it is a free for all. So for those of you that aren't aware and you're in that in between space of like, do I need a coach? Do I need a therapist? One, both are extremely beneficial because therapy is all about healing your past. Therapy is all about getting to the core and to the root of what it is that's going on internally that's preventing you from moving forward in the present. And so coaching, however, is all about moving forward. It's all about we're always
mm,
going to be looking towards the future. And that's really, if I were to coach her, that's really what I would be focusing on is how are your current actions going to affect you in the future? I would really start creating a vision for her that she didn't see for herself, right? And that was why I was stuck in that space for such a long time. I didn't see a future for myself. I saw death. Death was my future,
wow.
and I had made peace with that. But now if I could go back, I would tell her, can you imagine a life where you are free? Because that's all I ever wanted to be as a kid was like, I didn't want to be an artist. I wanted to be free and I didn't know what that would mean. And today I get to live that. And so I would help her create that vision of like freedom can look like traveling the world. Freedom can look like speaking on stages and speaking your truth boldly.
Hmm.
Freedom can look like not being ashamed of your past mistakes. And that's how I would start, at least with her.
That's beautiful. I love that. For the people who have seen like all the chapters of Sloan, whether that's your husband, your parents, your sisters, do you have any brothers?
No, no
Okay,
brothers.
sisters. Shout out to the sisters. Um, what what do they think about you? Like, what have they like told you? What have they witnessed in your transformation?
That's such a juicy question because I'm Dominican, I'm Latina, and in our culture, we love history. We love people's history, we love our culture's history. And so it wasn't up until, and I've been in entrepreneurship since 2017, my husband and I have multiple businesses. It wasn't until this past year where my mom finally presented me and said, this is my daughter, she's an entrepreneur.
Wow.
And that for me was such a big moment because I have a degree, but there's so many expectations and there's such a burden on you, especially as a minority, as a first, daughter, as a first gen, that I did not meet. I didn't tick off so many boxes that to get to that point where she finally sees me for who I am right now was huge. And now I get to go to the Dominican Republic and we have an organization and I'm the one coordinating all of our events overseas and I get to speak at our events and they've opened up all these doors because of who they see me now. But it took a really long time of just walking in authenticity to who I am and who I'm choosing to be as my elevated self for them to see me as that.
Hmm.
Because for a long time, it didn't matter all of the accolades that I had. It doesn't matter that I have 4 kids. It doesn't matter that I have a stable marriage. It was always, well, the mistakes that you made when you were 20, the mistakes that you and your sister at 16. I'm in my 30s and we're still having these conversations. So for my parents, it's been a really uphill battle for them to
Hmm.
accept my transformation. My husband, he's amazing. I always say he's like the best part of my my entire family unit because he's so charismatic, he's so open, he's so vulnerable, and he's like everything that you dream of your partner being that I absolutely don't deserve, but just God is so good. And he has always seen me for who I can be. Like he never, doesn't matter if it's the worst day in business and he's like, so what are we doing tomorrow? Like, it's totally fine. What investments do we have to make? What moves do we have to make? You are that girl. Like he is so immensely supportive and has always seen me for who I can potentially step into and has always spoken to that girl, not the girl that, you know, we have a tumultuous first couple of years in marriage. As you know, they're not easy. So he's amazing. My sisters are equally as amazing, but I think in part because my other sister definitely did a lot of mess with me. So we're like partners in that. My little sister sees me as what she calls her semi-parent.
Aww.
So there was a lot of like, actually, yeah, you made mistakes, but it taught me what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm her biggest supporter. So she's been my biggest supporter in my recovery journey as well. So I have an interesting group of support around me. And the core message of everything is to just keep showing up in the integrity of who I am, regardless of how other people see me, regardless how other people perceive me. I need to show up as who I truly am, online, offline, on my best days and on my worst.
Dude, so good. So your mom just recently introduced you with the title that you feel like has been deserving of for years, but it just now clicked. And you also mentioned that it took you walking in authenticity for years for that to accumulate and actually occur. And then you just talked about staying within integrity and staying true to yourself. When you feel like you're slipping out of that, what does it feel like to you, and how do you bring yourself back to your truth? How do you bring yourself back to your core? And I want to talk about this specific to showing up in authority, because I think a lot of us can lose that aspect when we start getting these dopamine hits of like our clients are doing really well, or maybe they're not doing really well, or we start getting a lot of likes on Instagram or followers, or maybe we don't. And so we lose ourselves in all of these things that are external. How do you bring yourself back to the core?
Yeah, so detachment. I dissociate completely from my business. I never want to put myself in a position where I'm so high off of my clients' highs, or, you know, the engagements that I've been speaking in, or all of these accolades and all these great things that I've been doing, or the slums of it, that I lose sight of who I am through everything. So I completely dissociate myself, whether that means maybe taking a sabbatical, maybe that means just closing down for the day and doing some shadow work or doing some self-coaching. I'm really big on at least once a quarter, reevaluating my values, reevaluating who is the woman that I am choosing to embody right now in the next 90 days. I think that as busy women, especially if you're a mom, having 90-day goals is going to be key in making sure that you can stay on top of the things that you want to achieve. Because when we look at our resolutions, when we look at our goals and we're like, oh, I'm going to do this year, girl, 12 months is a long time. Mm-hmm. So every 90 days, I make the intention of sitting with myself and reevaluating, okay, these are my goals. How do they align to my values? How do they align to who I am, who I'm choosing to be? Is this still true for me? And if it's not, then it's time for me to pivot. And knowing that you're allowed to do that, like you get to work with whoever you want to work with. And if a client no longer aligns to your values, bro, deuces up. Like it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. You know, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's so good. I really just want to ask you, like, you keep saying like who I am and what my core values are. So I'm just curious, like, who is Sloan the Beast and what are your values?
Yeah, so my first value, you've already heard it, is integrity. I'm huge on integrity. I think it's important for you to be exactly who you say you are. So for me, integrity, hard work, aesthetics are one of my core values. You'll see that my entire life is branded.
Yes.
And so that's really important to me. I would say those are my top three: integrity, a solid work ethic, and aesthetics.
Obsessed. I love it so much. So tell us, we're going to wrap this up just a little bit, but tell us about like the work that you do with the people that you bring on. So you work with female entrepreneurs. They need help with the chaos, which I think is very interesting because there can be like such a stigma around the word chaos. Like I could be like freaked out by that. Or you probably bring in people who are like, I know chaos is a thing. I know it's a living, breathing aspect of life, and it's probably never going to be going away. So we're going to celebrate it. So how do you, when you're working with these people, are you one-on-one? Do you have group programs? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the angle that I take on chaos is your life is not going to slow down, and you probably don't want it to anyway. That's just women like you and I, like, we thrive in that chaos.
Yes.
I believe that if you have the right systems, if you have the right mindset, if you have the right boundaries in place, you could leash walk that. Like, you could leash walk your chaos. You could take back control, and you can slow down in the midst of everything just operating the way that it's going to operate anyway, right? Because the only thing really that we can control is ourselves. So my containers, the way that clients work with me is 90-day one-on-one coachings, which I open twice a year because, again, energy management is huge for me. I do have a yearly retreat, which is super exciting for women that, like I said, want to rest within community. And then I do have my yearly event, which is so exciting. It's built for the pressure. And that is just a really aggressive conference. It's very different to any women's conference out there. It's all about just showing you that you're built for this. If you're in entrepreneurship, you love extreme sports, girl, because
that's so
this is the
true.
real deal.
That's hilarious. I love Built for Pressure. That's really cool. I love that so much. Okay, so many opportunities. Before we wrap with the final question, I want to ask you if there's anything that you feel like the world misunderstands about you, or doesn't, maybe they don't get glimpses of this part of you. If you could tell them anything about yourself, what would that thing be?
Yeah. It always surprises my community whenever they see me in, like, my softer side. So this looks like just me being more maternal. I've intentionally chosen not to show my kids as often as I used to. And it's because it's just something that continues to become so intimate for me. And so whenever they see me as this mom, right, they know I'm a mom, but whenever they see me in my mom space, it's always like, oh, you're so sweet. And I'm like, I'm actually pretty sweet to my kids. Like, I actually tell my husband I love him. Like, so I am I'm very aggressive in the way that I show up. I'm very passionate. I'm very Latina in that way.
I love that.
But equally, I love hard, and I love having a softer life, and this life of, like, being super fast paced, because, like I mentioned, I got back from Ireland on Fridays. Saturday we had a quinceañera. Today, right after this call, I leave to Atlanta, and then a week later I'm in Dominican Republic. Like,
wow.
Our life is very fast paced, and it's everything I prayed for, and it's everything I have been equipped for, and what I've equipped my family for. And we have a really soft life as defined by us. And I think that surprises people.
That's really cool. I love that so much. I'm so excited to ask you this question. You've probably heard this on the show. But as I was looking at your content, I'm like, damn, you're very artsy. Like, I love your approach to your content. It's very different. I'm like, why is she not blowing up? Like, you need to be seen. So I'm so excited for, like, my audience to capture everything that you represent. But I'm watching your content. I'm like, damn, this is going to be a really good question. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. So the final question is always, what's the best content advice that you've been given for your brand, for your business on social media that you've implemented and you've seen results, you've seen success with it?
Keep showing up as you. Keep showing up as your most authentic self. I am Sloan the Beast, and everyone associates anything that's edgy, anything that's black, yes, is directly associated with me. We have brand, even my family, we are the Beast. People don't even know my husband's real last name because we are the Beast. I have branded my entire life so that now when people see anything, they send it to me and they're like, oh, Sloan, this looks like you, or this opportunity sounds like you. I've shown up so authentically that now when I don't show up, people ask about me. And I don't have a big following, but I have a loyal following because I have been myself through and through.
Yeah. I think that's, like, I love when it goes against the grain, like when you're talking to someone who doesn't have a huge following or doesn't get 1,000 likes here and there, but, like, you're thriving and you're loving it and you have this
crazy business and you get to go to all these different places and you're speaking on stages and you have 4 kids and you have a husband. Like, so freaking cool. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful that you took the time. Your safe travels, by the way. Also love Atlanta, like have fun. And I don't know. Thank you so much. Like, I feel very blessed to have crossed paths with you. And I know this is just the beginning of a friendship and all the things. So I will link your Instagram. I will link your website and everything below in the show notes. You guys need to go check out Sloan the Beast. She's really dope. And with that, we shall wrap the show.